Welcome to the FastFoodLegend podcast. My name is Sam, and every week I will be sharing with you my latest essays about fast food. There is a brief silence between each essay. If you like my podcast, please subscribe, like, and most importantly, share it with someone else you think would like it. Thank you for your continued support of my work. Here is today's episode. A window, not the painting, becomes the true subject in this quiet, devastating photograph taken inside a Captain D's fast food restaurant. To the left hangs a standard piece of corporate decor, a red boat beached on a stretch of simulated sand, framed in wood and hung against a seafoam wall. It's the kind of image meant to pacify, a placeholder for mood. But it's the window to the right, rectangle, bright, uncurated, that ruptures the illusion. Outside in broad daylight stands a Popeye's Louisiana kitchen across the parking lot. The building's colors are warm ochres and reds. But the effect is antiseptic. This is not a romantic ruin or a poetic ruin. This is not ruin at all. It is an alternative. Another restaurant, another promise of comfort, just as mass-produced, just as hollow. The Popeyes doesn't beckon, it mocks. Inside, the environment strives to suspend the viewer in a fantasy of maritime escape. Blue vinyl booths, clean linoleum, a menu assuring coastal freshness. But the photograph catches its subject, presumably the photographer themselves, not eating, not ordering, simply waiting. And waiting is its own aesthetic here. The camera doesn't record action, it records suspension. This is the purgatory of late capitalist choice, stuck between simulations with nothing of substance to choose. The window becomes a frame within a frame, but unlike the painting, it is not closed. It's brutally open. It reveals not nature, not freedom, but another brand, a different prison of flavor. And it is daylight, which somehow renders it worse. We cannot blame neon artifice. The sun is out. The world is fully visible, and it is still unbearable. We are invited to wonder what brought the photographer here. A bad morning? A silent fight with a lover? The dry ache of another depressed afternoon? Captain D's may have seemed the right place to eat one's feelings, to disappear into routine. But routine in this photograph refuses to comfort. There is no catharsis, only clarity. This Google Maps photo of a Captain D's foyer belongs to the lineage of American realism, but with a conceptual twist. The simulation critiques itself. The curated interior, designed to calm, inadvertently amplifies the despair of the moment. And the window, instead of offering light or freedom, becomes a portal to sameness. A second option. A different aesthetic of numbness. There's a deeply Beckettian register here. No one is coming. The fish is not ready. The view is not better on the other side, but we are still looking. Still choosing, still waiting. There is a specific tone to roadside language, urgent, declarative, and resolutely unadorned. Outside a Captain D's seafood kitchen, bathed in the soft blue haze of early evening, a freestanding sign declares, "Clams are back." 3 words, no punctuation, all caps. It's a message that doesn't advertise so much as announce, a ritual utterance in the syntax of late capitalism. The sign's design follows the vernacular architecture of chain dining, a peaked gable in bright blue, 2 floodlights angling downward like searchlights on a forgotten theater marquee. A fat red fish, inscribed with EST 1969, swims across the top, flattening maritime tradition into icon. Captain D's curves across in a faux nautical typeface, playful but generic. This is not coastal culture. This is seafood, abstracted and standardized, arriving by truck to a landscape of strip malls and payday lenders. But it is the lower section, the customizable message board, that elevates the sign into the realm of conceptual sculpture. Clams are back. The statement is temporally rich. It implies a before, clams were present, an absence, clams went away, and now a return. The sentence offers no explanation, no timeline, only a quiet resolution. This kind of industrial poetry closely echoes the practice of K. Rosen, a longtime master of language's form. Rosen's wall pieces and billboards, with their blunt puns and structural ambiguities, strip language down to its bones while remaining emotionally loaded. Much like Rosen's "The world's women are all waiting or blurred," Clams Are Back lives in that ambiguous zone between message and mystery. It is funny, yes, but it's also oddly moving. Something has returned to us. The aesthetics of the sign support this effective weight: weathered corners, chipped paint, light fixtures resembling theater spots. These details suggest the sign is aware of its own need to perform. At dusk, one imagines the plastic letters backlit in warm fluorescence, each word floating in a dim field of American yearning. Behind the sign, the setting only heightens its poignancy. An aging plaza, retail remnants, a parking lot without expectation. This isn't the seaside. It's a substitute. The clams are not local. They arrive frozen, industrial, anonymous. But their return, however manufactured, still reads as a kind of blessing. In this way, the sign gestures toward communion, not the sacred kind, but the communal, an invitation, a reassurance, a line of dialogue between business and body. Clams Are Back is not a command. It is not even persuasion. It is presence. The phrase sits there, waiting, speaking to whoever will listen. Its strength lies in its lack of ornament. It exists. And in that existence, it becomes sculpture, poem, and liturgy at once. Sorry, free refills, limited to duration of visit. Applied in matte vinyl against a brushed stainless backsplash, this policy notice is not framed. It is adhered. Embedded. It does not hang in the ordering area. It presides. There is no glass, no interface to soften or elevate. This is signage's commandment, not suggestion. Its direct materiality aligns it not with museums, but with kitchens, break rooms, and service corridors, spaces where time is managed, not contemplated. Vinyl text here becomes a disciplinary gesture, an aesthetic in line with the pragmatic installations of Shrestha Premnath, whose site-responsive works often explore thresholds, exclusion, and institutional surfaces. The backsplash, a surface typically meant to resist mess, now becomes a field for psychological hygiene, a barrier not just to liquid, but to entitlement. The language is spare. The dash after sorry injects a note of bureaucratic sincerity, but it's immediately undone by the cold logic that follows. Free refills were the great democratizer of the soda fountain era, an endless, carbonated communion. Here, they are not denied, but time-boxed. Duration of visit. Undefined, subjective, lightly menacing. This sign doesn't just regulate behavior, it raises ontological questions. What is the duration of a visit? When does hospitality expire? When does presence become trespass? These are questions that echo the participatory discomfort of Nora Turato, who also plays with corporate voice and authoritative tone in her text-based environments. Beneath the policy, the calorie table is a secondary but essential component, data nested within doctrine. It brings the floating abstraction of duration back to the corporeal, translating time into sugar, ice, ounces. Water, pure, unmetered, sits at zero, a kind of loophole in the matrix. This isn't just a beverage policy. It's a semiotic partition, a piece of environmental governance masquerading as customer communication. Applied flat against stainless steel, the message fuses itself with the architecture of order. It cannot be removed, only outlived. It juts from the upper wall like an afterthought or a dare, a balcony on the facade of a Popeye's Louisiana kitchen, complete with wrought iron railing, scallop detail, and the slight overhang of suggestion. It is not a balcony in any functional sense. There is no door, no second story, no interior space it belongs to. It exists in full view and full contradiction, a symbol without referent. This balcony is pure allegory. It could be read as a lost fragment of set design, a New Orleans fragment estranged from both geography and purpose. In its artifice, it recalls the spatial theater of Kubra Kademi, whose architectural costumes transform symbols of domesticity into armor. Here, the balcony is armor for the building, a gesture that says, we are more than just a box that sells chicken. But the fantasy is brittle. The balcony protects nothing. It offers no elevation, no escape. Instead, it becomes an object of architectural surrealism, not in the fantastical sense of Gaudí or Dali, but in the bureaucratic absurdity of suburban commercial design. It evokes Rachel Harrison's ability to suspend sculptural elements in a tension between cultural recognition and absolute uselessness. This balcony does not fail. It simply refuses to function. Wrought iron railings gesture toward a romantic ideal. Juliet at the threshold, lazy Bourbon Street afternoons, the mise-en-scène of Southern ease. But it is a performance that no one can enter. The romance is inaccessible, literally. Like a painting hung in a locked room, the balcony exists to be seen but never touched, a prop without plot. And yet it persists. Weather-stained, chipped at the corners, its presence grows more surreal the longer one observes it. In this sense, it becomes a kind of contemporary ready-made, an accidental artwork embedded in infrastructure. Like Gordon Matta Clark's architectural cuttings, but in reverse, it is not what has been removed, but what has been added without need that gives it weight. One is left wondering, who is this balcony for? Is it for us, the passers-by, to dream a little higher? Is it for branding, an ironic elevation of fried food through fake elevation? Or is it simply a joke embedded in stucco, a glitch in the matrix of franchise aesthetics? Whatever its intention, the balcony holds its position with stubborn dignity. It leads nowhere, but it stays. And in that staying, it becomes the most honest part of the building. Shaquille O'Neal's Big Chicken doesn't merely serve Louisiana-style fried comfort food. It stages an edible Gesamtkunstwerk of celebrity persona, consumer architecture, and industrial nostalgia. Walking into this fast casual space is like stepping into a branded cathedral, a site where Shaq's mythos becomes spatially legible. This is not kitsch. It's effective infrastructure. The double-height ceiling with exposed wooden trusses could be plucked from any Pacific Northwest honest materiality handbook, but here it operates more as theatrical framing. The architecture invites awe, a kind of barnyard cathedral aesthetic. The spatial drama evokes the installation sensibility of Absalon, Mir Eshel, whose stark architectural sculptures challenged how bodies perform within branded or ritualized interiors. But instead of the monastic white of Absalon's cellules, Big Chicken gives us Shaq orange, loud, corporate, triumphant. What's notable is the discipline of the visual language. Orange Helvetica caps shout "Bok Bok" from a mezzanine beam, equal parts logo and megaphone. The text dominates the space much like K. Rosen's early wall-based linguistic works, which asked viewers to consider typography as both image and semiotic trigger. Here, language isn't just branding, it's choreography. The eye is led. You read before you eat. The light wood paneling and powder-coated fixtures hint at the aspirational neutrality of a WeWork lobby, but the industrial elements, HVAC ducts, linear pendant bulbs, and paper towel rolls anchored at each table suggest a slightly more tactical approach. Andrea Zittle's living units come to mind, where modular structures blur the line between domestic life and institutional rhythm. Big Chicken, like Zittle's AZ West, isn't interested in comfort for its own sake. It's about functional utopia, scaled for mass digestion. Menus hang like altarpieces behind the counter, backlit, grid-aligned, and aesthetically closer to Saul LeWitt than the restaurant's own press copy would dare admit. There's something proto-conceptual about this taxonomy of the sandwich, a visual genealogy not far removed from Victor Bergen's Photopath, a work that silently demands you read, absorb, consume. And then there are the details: wood laminate tables, sturdy yet generic chairs, paper towel rolls as both cleaning implement and culinary semaphore. These recall the austerity of Gillian Waring's early institutional installations, spaces that hint at surveillance, repetition, and semi-voluntary participation. You're here for shack, but you're also being moved through a system, ordered, processed, and seated, as efficiently as any modular artwork. What elevates Big Chicken above mere celebrity vanity project is this: it's a space of cultural compression. Athletic legacy meets franchised architecture, reality TV merges with hyper-real dining. It's a fast food chapel built on postmodern formalism, seasoned with irony and served with waffle fries. In Big Chicken, Shack doesn't just feed the people, he offers them a fully curated spatial experience, somewhere between El Lisitsky's Suprematist Theater and the Instagram Panopticon. Come for the Shack Daddy sandwich, stay for the spatial semiotics. The sign stands at child height, yet speaks volumes about the slow aesthetic entropy of branded space. This is Arthur Treacher's, once a national chain of fish and chip shops, now a scattered few, kept alive by grease, nostalgia, and styrene signage like this one. A cartoon naval officer, somewhere between Revolutionary War drummer boy and county fair caricature, beckons cheerfully. Hey kids, a menu just for you. He is gesturing toward Facebook. This more than anything is the rupture. A sign designed for 5-year-olds directs them not to crayons, not to a treasure map, but to the waning social media platform that once promised a revolution and now mostly serves ads for knee braces and auto glass. There's no irony here, just a perfectly preserved anachronism, an intersection of kid culture and platform capitalism rendered absurd through timing. The mascot is unsettling in his optimism. His outfit, a hybrid of 19th century naval regalia and Hanna-Barbera goofiness, is trimmed in gold and buttoned to the neck. A parrot perches cheerfully on his bicorn hat, anthropomorphized just enough to imply sentience, but not menace. He clutches a ship's wheel that appears unmoored, like everything else in this semiotic tableau. His gaze is upward, his purpose is unclear. The composition is bright, off-register, and deeply flat, evoking the visual logic of 1980s children's placemats, but printed on modern foam core. He doesn't promise food, he promises interface. Find us on Facebook, the banner insists, floating above his hat like a digital thought bubble. The brand doesn't just want to serve you, it wants to friend you. But the ask is curiously out of step with the setting. Laminated tile, metal napkin dispensers, caution cones. Here, digital invitation meets analog ruin. There are no QR-coded menu. There is no touchscreen. Just a character from the past inviting you into a platform that is also aging out of relevance. This is not cross-promotion. This is cross-temporality. The Arthur Treacher sign is not just kitsch. It is brand entropy made visible, a totem of survival through mismatch. The child it addresses likely doesn't use Facebook. The adult reading it no longer wants to. And yet, the sign persists, friendly, clumsy, adrift. Thank you again for watching the podcast and supporting my work. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with someone else you think may enjoy it.